Well, good afternoon, fellow Democrats. My name is Jason Ray, pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm honored to serve as the secretary of the DNC. Our chairman, Tom Perez, is just finishing up an event right now in Florida with Puerto Rican Americans, so he'll be joining us shortly for our meeting, but we did want to get started today. So with that, I hereby call to order this virtual meeting of the Democratic National Committee. Thank you so much for joining us today for our virtual meeting. As many of you know, we typically have this meeting the day after the convention. And unlike our friends in the other party, Democrats are listening to health experts and practicing social distancing during this health pandemic. While we weren't able to gather together in person in Milwaukee, and I missed welcoming you here, we wanted to have this meeting before the election to update you on all of the important work happening in the final stretch of this campaign season. With that, let's get started. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's my pleasure to introduce Valerie Kaur, a renowned Sikh activist, civil rights lawyer, and documentary filmmaker. She's the founder of the Revolutionary Love Project and recently published her first book, See No Stranger, a memoir and manifesto of revolutionary love. Ms. Kaur declares, and I think we can all agree, that revolutionary love is the call of our time, a radical, joyful practice that extends in three directions: to others, to our opponents, and to ourselves. Please join me in welcoming Valerie Kaur to give our invocation.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. The beloved community belongs to divine oneness, and so does all that it achieves. I invite you to place your feet on the earth and take a deep breath with me, the deepest breath of your day. Let it come, let it go, closing your eyes now. Let us honor the indigenous ancestors of the earth beneath your feet, their struggle, their resilience. Let their names come to your lips, the Tongva people. And now I invite you to choose one ancestor from the land or from history or from your own family line. Choose one ancestor who makes you brave. Imagine them standing behind you now. Notice where you feel bravery in your body. Now I invite you to imagine a child. Your own child or a child in your life. Choose someone who brings you joy. Imagine them in front of you now, smiling, so radiant that you can feel it in your heart. Notice what joy feels like in your body. Now I invite you to lift your gaze and turn your attention to the darkness in our country right now, the reason you are here. The blistering pace of this pandemic, 215,000 lives lost, disproportionately Black and brown and indigenous people, including people we have known and loved. Let's think of the millions more who are struggling, who are sick, who are vulnerable in prisons and migrant detention camps and on the front lines. Let us think of the families of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd who still seek justice in a nation that still sees Black bodies as disposable. Let us think of all those who have been displaced by the fires that have burned millions of acres of forest to the ground in this climate apocalypse that we could have stopped. And let us think of all the rest of us who have been threatened by torch-bearing white supremacists and troubled by the authoritarian assaults by this government on our families, on our communities, on our democracy itself, so that this election is not just about the future of America, but with climate change, the future of the earth. Notice what grief feels like in your body. I have come here to ask you a question that I have been asking myself the last 4 years. What if? What if this darkness in our nation is not only the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America is not dead, but a nation still waiting to be born? What if all of our ancestors are standing behind us now, those who survived genocide and slavery, occupation and assault? What if they are whispering in our ear, in your ear, you are brave? What if the story of America is one long labor and this is our greatest transition? Fiery, breathless, painful, flesh-searing. It feels like dying, but it is precisely in the stage called transition that we begin to see glimpses of what is wanting to be born. In the last 4 years, we have seen millions of people rising up in our rage, in our grief, in our revolutionary love, flooding the streets in an uprising for racial justice and social justice that the world has never seen. Now you are the ones who are mobilizing our nation to elect our first transition president, a president who will invite us into the labor of birthing the America that we dream, a nation that protects the dignity and the safety and the wellness of every single one of us. I know you are tired. I know you have already labored for so long and so hard, but I ask you to remember the wisdom of the midwife. Breathe and then push. Because if we don't push, we will die. If we don't push, our nation will die. Humanity itself is at stake. And so now is the time to summon your ancestors at your back. Hold in your heart the children for whom you labor. Imagine all of us by your side, millions of us linking arms together. Keep breathing and keep pushing between now and Election Day and beyond. For you will be someone's ancestor one day. They will summon you. And if we get this right, if we show up now with all of our love and our power, then they will inherit not our grief from these 4 years. They will inherit our bravery, even our joy. Let's breathe, and now let's push. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you so much, Valerie. And again, welcome to my fellow DNC members. We are so thankful for your time and being here today for our official DNC meeting. I wanted to start by welcoming to their first official meeting all of our new DNC members whose terms started at the end of the national convention. We are so excited to have you joining us here as a part of this DNC family. It has been great to connect with many of you over the past few weeks since your term has started, and we're excited that you're able to join us today. We're also really excited to have a number of our returning DNC members back with us. Thank you all so much for the work that you are doing to help elect Democrats up and down the ballot. And it has been so great to see so many of our DNC members over the last couple of months virtually at our organizing events throughout the country. It's because of your work that in 20 days, we will not only elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the next president and vice president, but Democrats up and down the ballot. I am happy to announce that we do indeed have a quorum of DNC members present today. We currently have 273 DNC members from across the country representing our 57 state and territory parties who have joined us for our meeting today. And we are so thankful for your time and being here as we continue with the important business that we have as a party to elect Democrats. So with that, I believe I am proud to turn the floor back over to our phenomenal chairman who has been working hard each and every day, fighting for Democrats, traveling this country and making sure that our progressive values and causes are spoken about. Someone who has been fearless and tireless in his work So we will have Chair Perez joining us here in just a moment. Again, he is wrapping up another event and is just a few minutes behind schedule. As we all know, when it comes to political events, we all tend to run just a few minutes behind, but we are just so thankful for your commitment to being here today and to being a part of the important work of the Democratic National Committee as we continue building these last 20 days towards the election. Thank you so much again to everyone that joined us and for all of the work that you are doing. In addition, we want to remind folks, if you haven't yet, to continue posting online about iwillvote.com. We really want to make sure that everyone has all the information that they need in order to vote and participate in this election. I know that I've been posting about iwillvote.com and really encourage all of our DNC members to go out and do the same. And we are really excited about that and hope that you will continue to monitor your emails to share important updates that we will be sending out as we continue moving forward in these last 20 days of the campaign cycle. We know that there is a lot at stake this November, and it's because of all the work that we will do that we will make sure that we are electing Democrats up and down the ticket. And thank you to all of you, our DNC members, for that work. With that, I am pleased that we are now joined by our phenomenal chairman, who is, as I mentioned, working tirelessly each and every day to elect Democrats and has been a stalwart of our party. DNC members, please join me in welcoming our chairman, Tom Perez.
Thanks, Jason. Good to see you again. Haven't seen you in person since Milwaukee. And good afternoon, and in a couple of cases, good morning. Happy to be with all of you, and maybe in a couple of cases, good evening, depending on where you are. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late for this. I'm actually down in Miami. We just did an event with Puerto Rican leaders who just dedicated a mural in memorial to Hurricane Maria. And before that, I was in Nevada the last 2 days, and before that in Arizona. And the common denominator is energy, remarkable energy across this country. Really, really excited down here. 1.8 million votes have been cast already in Florida, and we have almost a 400,000 more Democrats than Republicans. In Wisconsin, I think something like 700,000 people have already cast their ballot. They expect 3 million, so that's over 20% of the vote. It's remarkable. Energy in Arizona for the early vote, as well as Nevada, is the same thing. So it's been exciting. We've got 20 days till the weekend, and I do want to start out by saying a special thanks to our DNC officers who've been incredibly helpful. Lorna Johnson, obviously Jason, who has just preceded me here. Bill Darrow, our treasurer, Grace Meng, who has been tireless, our national finance chair, Chris Corge, Mary Elena Durazo, Michael Blake, Ken Martin, Karen Carter Peterson. To all of you, thank you for what you're doing. I know everybody's working their tails off right now. And I want to give a special shout out to someone that you're probably reading about, Jamie Harrison. Jamie is locked in a dead heat race with Lindsey Graham. And I think this is the year of the underdog for Jamie Harrison. So we're rooting for you, Jamie. And it is so incredible what you are accomplishing. So people who work with me know I often talk about how many days until a big event, and I refer to how many days till the weekend. So we got 20 days, folks, till the weekend, 20 days until the most important election of our lifetime. And we've got the pedal to the metal all the way to the end. We're working day in and day out to assist the Biden-Harris campaign and Democrats up and down the ballot to win in November. I did a call yesterday in Kansas with the party chair, Vicki Hyatt, and with Kansas Democrats. People ask me what's the matter with Kansas. I say, not a damn thing. We're electing Democrats and elected a Democratic governor. We're going to elect at least one more Democratic member of Congress, Michelle de la Isla, and we've got incredible opportunities there. And so I'm really proud of what we're doing. I'm proud of the partnership we've had with the Biden-Harris team. You're going to hear later on in this meeting from General Mally Dillon, the campaign chair. I think we've handed over, quite frankly, the strongest party infrastructure that's ever been given to a nominee in a incumbent situation in Democratic Party history, and we're really proud of that. Roughly 8,000 candidates use our infrastructure. So when the infrastructure is strong as it is, it helps the school board candidates and it helps Joe Biden and everybody in between. And the work we did and have done together, it hasn't happened overnight. I think about where we were February 25th of 2017. Jason, you remember where you were, and everyone else does. We were in Atlanta. Our finance department, when I joined the DNC the following Monday, consisted of 4 people. That's not even a basketball team. And I've coached basketball for the last 14 years. I'd have to suit up myself to make it a 5th. And you don't want to see that anymore. And now I look 4 years later, and we've been working hand in hand on the finance front with the Biden campaign to post the best quarterly numbers ever. In fact, we've raised twice as much money in August 2020 as we did in August 2016. We've turned around every other aspect of our operations: cybersecurity, technology, data operations. Many of you have been hearing about iwillvote.com. voyavotar.com. I was driving to the airport in Las Vegas this morning. I look over on a billboard and I see voyavotar.com on a big billboard helping people get out to vote. We've done so much work, and that voyavotar, iwillvote.com is a joint venture of so many people in our operation. And we've totally overhauled our technology infrastructure in the DNC. It's really unrecognizable from the 2016 cycle. I feel like we walked into a Radio Shack, and now we've created a Fifth Avenue Apple store. We've got state-of-the-art tools, state-of-the-art minds working to keep our systems secure, helping us to reach as many voters as possible. We now maintain a cloud-based data warehouse and national voter file, which includes every registered voter in America. We've made massive investments to improve the quantity and quality of our data available on the file, so that every possible person has access to information that's accurate and usable. We've integrated key data sets, proprietary modeling. We've augmented the file in so many different ways, like purchasing tens of millions of high quality cell phone numbers. We've established a disinformation team to track active disinformation efforts affecting our candidates. Here in Florida, I'm talking to a lot of Latino voters in my visit today and tomorrow. 4 years ago, if you met someone down here named Perez, you knew they were probably Latino, but you didn't know where they were from. But now we do sub-ethnicity modeling, so we can tell if you're Perez de Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic or Cuba or some another country. And the reason that's relevant is because we want to be able to target our outreach. We share a language as a Latino community, but we have many different experiences. And that is why we are able to talk to people about the issues that matter most to them. And this is what it's all about. All of this technological work that we've done has enabled us to do this. Our Battleground Buildup 2020 program, we made multi-million-dollar investments across 12 battleground states. It enabled us to fund hundreds of organizers, offices, staff dedicated to operations, constituent service, data. Our Best Practices Institute, a joint venture with our colleagues in the state parties. And again, special thanks to Ken Martin, is about to hit 29,000 people trained in 2020, 29,000 across all 57 states and territories. Our voter protection operation is the most robust it's ever been, and we're working around the clock to help state parties, individual voters fight that voter suppression, the misinformation, the intimidation. And we go to court. We're never hesitant to go to court. We're organizing. We're using technology to help people, and it's so important. And some of you have probably seen some ads that have emanated from our DNC War Room, which is out there day in and day out, talking about Donald Trump's failures, responding to his lies every single day. Our research department has provided so much helpful information to the vice president and frankly to other candidates as we go out and make sure we're telling the truth. And what I'm most proud of, perhaps, is we're getting out the vote in every zip code. We're taking no one for granted. We said we were going to become an every state, every zip code party, and that's exactly what we have done. And our iwillvote.com, Voy a Votar websites are really something I would urge all of you to take a look at and to tell your friends about, because they are one-stop shopping, no matter where you are on today's call, what state you're in, what territory you're in. iwillvote.com, voyavotar.com will give you the information about early voting. You can request a ballot online, request a ballot by email. You can do all the things you need to do. There are a lot of different deadlines in different states. Sometimes your location may have changed. You can find out, for instance, if you're in Nevada, where your drop box is. Where's the nearest place you can drop your ballot off? Because you can drop off your ballot today. You know, in most states, Election Day, when you say Election Day is November the 3rd, that's actually not accurate. Election Day ends November the 3rd. Election Day is just about every day between today and Election Day in most states. And iwillvote.com will give you that information, that granular information. So this is what it's all about. We've got momentum, folks. You know the story of 2017, 18, and 19. What all those years have in common, those Novembers, since Trump got elected, we scored decisive, historic victories up and down the ballot. And that has enabled us to make so much progress. We've helped flip 10 legislative chambers from red to blue in those 3 years. And if we flip 48 seats in 10 chambers this cycle, we flip those chambers. For instance, 2 House seats in Arizona, 3 Senate seats in Arizona, and we flip both those chambers. We're going to get it done, and we're proud to be working side by side with the Arizona Democratic Party and leadership there. That is what's going on in 2020. Again, I'm really excited. So many people have already voted, whether it's Florida, Nevada, Texas, Wisconsin, all the battlegrounds. People are voting big time. Every party chair I talk to, other people in the states, the energy's off the charts. But folks, we got 20 days. You know, we all have a little bit of PTSD from 2016. Don't get on the polar coaster, okay? When you see a good poll, don't get too giddy. When you see a poll that disturbs you, don't get too down. Just make sure you put your head down and move forward. We can do this. We got 20 days left. And these 20 days, for me, are the most important 20 days perhaps in my life. I am motivated beyond all get out. Someone asked me, am I tired? Hell no, I'm not tired. I'm exhilarated. And I'm exhilarated and motivated because I'm voting for a lot of people who don't have a voice. I'm voting for those dreamers who are frankly on the ballot, because Donald Trump has said if reelected, he will eliminate the program. Joe Biden will make sure that we preserve dreamers and that we make sure we give them the citizenship that they deserve. Joe Biden, as you know, is a man of character, compassion, someone who will get a handle on the coronavirus, the economy, our climate crisis, our civil rights pandemic. The common denominator of all 4 of those crises is Donald Trump has failed us. He's failed us miserably. You know all this, the statistics. So many people have lost their jobs. They need a second stimulus package. And you know, the Republicans in Washington, they're moving heaven and earth to confirm another judge who will help them try to accomplish their mission of overturning the Affordable Care Act. We got 8 million people in Florida alone with pre-existing conditions. Healthcare is on the ballot here in Florida, where I currently sit. Healthcare is on the ballot across the country on November 3rd. And it's literally on the docket November the 10th. And Republicans want to do away with coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. And they want to steal a seat on the Supreme Court so they can do just that. That's disgraceful. And the American people have had enough. In 2016, Lindsey Graham said the American people should have a voice in determining that Supreme Court nominee. But now Lindsey Graham, the hypocrite, he needs a spine implant, if you ask me. Lindsey Graham, the hypocrite, now is trying to ram this through. We're not going to let it happen, and we're going to keep fighting, folks, because we elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We can do so much for our country. And in closing, I can't help but reflect on words that Robert Kennedy gave us about a half century ago, because this really, for me, is my call to action. He gave a speech at one point to a group of farm workers in California with Cesar Chavez at his side. He told the workers that they stood at a defining moment in our country's future, a moment, a point of difficulty and danger. Those were his words, that would ultimately determine our country's future. He said, when your children and grandchildren take their place in America, you will say, I did this. I was there. I marched. Well, my friends, we stand at a serious point of difficulty and danger. Danger not only to the progress that we've made, but to the promise of a better future. This is truly one of those where were you moments. Your children and grandchildren, some born, some unborn, are going to study this moment. And they're going to ask you, where were you during this moment? And I am so proud of the fact that everybody can say, I got in the arena. I was there. I helped to defeat Donald Trump. So we need your help. I need you to wake up every single day asking the question, what can I do today to help Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get elected? What can I do to help flip the U.S. Senate, to help expand our majorities in the House, to help win state House seats and local seats? What can I do to help? And at the end of the day, ask yourself, did I keep my promise? Make sure you tell people about iwillvote.com, voyavotar.com. Make sure you tell them to make a plan to vote. Tell your family, friends, neighbors, community members to make that plan. That's how we will win. I'm sure we can do this, folks, because all of us are in this together. We have a candidate who is exactly made for the moment. So I'm confident we can make history. And one of the people who is helping us make history is a wonderful person that I've gotten to know, Jen O'Malley Dillon, who is our next guest. And Jen really needs no introduction. She's a veteran organizer, political operative, known for her great organizational skills, discipline, and strategic vision. She is the campaign manager for the Biden campaign. Before that, she was the campaign manager for Congressman O'Rourke and has served in senior roles in presidential campaigns in every cycle since 2010, including deputy campaign manager for Barack Obama. She also led the DNC during the Obama administration. So she knows how important it is to work with the DNC. She's been doing so much for us during my tenure. And I was so thrilled when the vice president announced that Jen would be his campaign manager. And because of her visionary leadership, the DNC and the Biden for President campaign have collaborated in ways that have never been done before. Our partnership can be seen every day as we work together toward victory. So please join me in welcoming my friend and the campaign manager for Joe Biden, Jen O'Malley Dillon.
Hello, DNC. It's so nice to be here with all of you. Thank you so much, Chairman Perez, for that introduction. And thank you so much for being such an incredible partner through all of this campaign. I know for a fact that we would not be as ready as we are today in this election if it wasn't for the work that you've led, Mary Beth Cahill, all of you here joining us today. The partnership between the DNC and the Biden-Harris campaign is something that I'm incredibly proud of. And I know how important your work is. And I know, as someone who has been at the DNC before, I like to call myself a DNC homer, that you don't always get the credit that you deserve. So I want to make sure you know that we feel so great about the work we're doing together. We feel so great about the foundation that you all created to ensure that we, as the nominee from day one, would be put on the best path forward in this race. So thank you for everything. And I'm so glad to be here today to give you a bit of an update on the campaign. Can you believe it is 20 days before this election? Some days that feels like an eternity, and some days it's hard to believe just 20 days left. We believe that the fundamentals are solid on where we are in this campaign. We are seeing historic early voting and turnout. Over 12 million voters have started to vote. Majority of those voters voting in our battleground states. We're seeing people vote early. We're seeing people make a plan just as we asked them to do starting at the convention. And we are seeing our voters returning their ballots and showing up, even if the lines are longer than they should, at record numbers. We obviously need to keep seeing that in order to ensure that we are successful, both for the vice president and Senator Harris, but also Democrats up and down the ticket across the country. And so obviously we're pushing that, as you can imagine. We know that we have the exact right ticket, the right candidates to lead this country forward. And I feel like every day we see that more and more clearly. From the beginning of this race, from the day the vice president decided that he would run for president, he has spoken to restoring the soul of this nation, something that I think we have just seen over and over again as we as a country and the world, frankly, navigate these multiple crises that we're all facing, and also seeing that incredible lack of leadership coming from the administration and the president. This is a referendum on Donald Trump. There is no doubt that he has not been up to the job. There is no doubt that when it comes to COVID and the economy and healthcare, he is not only not led, he is obviously not focused on what the American people need. And we know that is what people care about. And we also know that the vice president has the experience as someone that's taken us out of through a recovery before, out of crisis previously, to someone who not only leads, but leads while listening and has the empathy to understand what people are going through and understand how to move this country forward to get us out of these crises. So we are focusing every day of this campaign, ensuring that we tell that story, ensuring that we continue to keep the focus laser focused on these issues that matter most and have the most impact to the American voters, and being clear that the vice president and Senator Harris are the exact right leaders with the exact ability to unite this country, to heal this country, and to lead us forward, and that he has a vision and a plan to do that. We also know that we have seen across the board an incredibly stable race, honestly, from the beginning, historically stable, with the vice president being ahead of Donald Trump, even into the primary in national head-to-head races. While this is a national race, you all know this is going to be a state-by-state race as well. And if you could take one thing away from what I have to say today, let it be the fact that we are not ahead by 12 points or 14 points or 16 points. This race is far, far closer. It's closer in our battleground states, as you would imagine, the places that we always look to that are going to determine whether we win or lose. And that's no different this election cycle. We are ahead. We feel very good about that. We also believe that we have multiple pathways to 270 electoral votes, that we have been able to put in play new states that have never been battleground states before, places like Arizona and Georgia and Texas. Advertising in Texas is not something that I necessarily thought we'd be doing as a campaign as we started the general election. But the strength of the support for the vice president and Senator Harris, the sense of what is at stake in this country, and the clear referendum on Donald Trump's failed leadership has allowed us to keep multiple pathways to 270. And the support that we've been able to garner across what we would call the Biden coalition, a broad-based coalition of support across so many different parts of this country and voters coming from different backgrounds, age. We are seeing growing and growing enthusiasm. We see that through every metric that we track as a campaign, whether it is the fundraising numbers, which have been historic, to the engagement with volunteers and activists, to the organic signups, whether it's in our key moments like debates, and how great was Senator Harris, and certainly how strong was the vice president in our debates to make clear what's at stake in our path forward. The American people are responding to that, and they're responding to that in every channel that we look to as we look at our campaign. As we move forward for the final 20 days, we are incredibly focused on a few key areas. First of all, to make sure we continue to reach voters where they are. That means not just virtually, but also in person. And you'll continue to see the Vice President, Senator Harris, Dr. Biden, and Doug Emhoff traveling across the country, reaching voters, taking no vote for granted. We don't believe that there is only a get out the vote target. We know that we have to continue to ensure that we're earning the support of American voters, whether they are Latinos or African Americans or young people or seniors. We know we're ahead, but but we're going to keep pushing to make clear the vision that the vice president has for this country and the importance of their vote, that we take nothing for granted. And we're doing that across all of our channels, whether we're looking at our travel, whether we're looking at our advertising, whether we're looking at how we're reaching our core coalitions and doing that in person on the ground, as well as online. As you know, we continue to take COVID incredibly seriously for the sake of our team, but also most importantly for voters and for volunteers to ensure that everyone is safe. We've been able to put extensive safety measures in place that have allowed us to start doing more and more in-person work as people have started to vote. And we're going to continue to push that as we move forward, ever mindful of COVID, but knowing that we can reach people in their communities as well as in the ways that they're interacting, whether it's phone calls or texts. Our contact rates continue to be very strong, and we're having meaningful conversations with voters across this country. We are also very focused on ensuring every single voter has the right, the opportunity to vote, and to vote in a way that they want to. We are certain, absolutely certain, that the American people are going to decide this election. We know that we can do that by focusing all that we can on getting more and more voters to vote for our ticket, but to make sure that they're voting early, and frankly, to make sure that they're voting in a way that makes sense, and we're supporting them as they do that. We have an unprecedented election, certainly, but also an unprecedented voter protection and voter education program that we are running in all of our states. We have state hotlines. We're working closely with the DNC, as you know. The hallmark of all of this, the iwillvote.com, which has been such an important tool and resource for us across the board. We are going to continue to support people as they vote. I feel very confident that we have that support on the ground, and that we're going to be ready for any type of activity that might prevent people from being able to vote. We know that there is going to be a heightened focus here. We're very focused on that, but we're also very sure that the American people are going to decide this election. So in closing, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that while we feel like we are well positioned, the urgency is incredibly important for us all to feel and act upon for these last 20 days. We cannot let up. We cannot sit back and believe that we have this. I know none of you are doing that. I know all of you are worried and wanting to put that worry into action. And that's really my message. Keep up the work. You have helped us get here to this point. We need to get over the finish line. We're going to push in every way possible to make sure that we turn out a historic vote in this election, and that we're doing everything possible to ensure that it is clear and loud the astounding support that the Vice President and Senator Harris and Democrats in all of our states across this country get to show that this country deserves a better path forward and a path that can be led in a way that works for all of us. So please keep up that hard work. Please, thank you. Know how appreciated you are. Stay with us as we keep navigating these next 20 days. We're going to get this done. It's going to be because of your work and your effort and our partnership. And I am grateful for you. The Vice President and Senator Harris are so grateful for all of you. And we can't wait to see you on the other side when we win this thing. So keep up the great work, and thank you all.
Thanks, Jen. Really appreciate your partnership. Thank you for your very, very helpful comments. And I hope everybody feels a little bit more informed and that much more motivated. Our next speaker is the person who I would say is the biggest supporter of our candidate for vice president and knows her best, and that is her husband, Doug Emhoff. I was at the debate last week in Salt Lake City, had an opportunity to spend some time with Senator Harris and with Doug. Doug is a brilliant lawyer in his own right. And he is here in place of Senator Harris for obvious reasons, because she is dealing with the judiciary hearing, confirmation hearing on the Supreme Court nominee. So Doug knows all of the work we have to do to bring the ticket across the finish line. And I'm really, really excited that he agreed to join us today. So Doug, take it away. It's good to see you again. It's been about a week. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. It was great to see you in Salt Lake City last week at the debate, on your birthday, no less. I just want to thank you so much for your leadership and for the work of the entire team at the DNC. It's your hard work that has put us in such a strong position in the final stretch. And hello, DNC members. It's so great to be with you all today as well. I wish we could all be together in person, and I know that Kamala wishes she could be here today as well. But I'm sure you can appreciate that she is in the Senate asking the tough questions that need to be asked of the president's nominee for the Supreme Court. Look, I don't need to tell you all how important this election is for the future of our democracy. It's so clear every day on this campaign, and especially on the 2 debate stages we've seen so far. Let me tell you, watching Kamala on that stage up there last week made me so proud, and I hope she made you proud too. She spoke about families all across the country and how COVID is impacting them. Over 25 million Americans are receiving unemployment assistance. More than 7 million Americans infected with COVID, and 1 in 5 small businesses closing their doors. Just as Joe did in his debate, she made the case to the American people on how the Biden-Harris administration will contain COVID, build the economy back better, and bring us all together. Kamala was singularly focused on talking to voters at home about what a Biden-Harris White House will mean for their lives and the issues important to them. We know the stakes are so high in this election, and now in these last 20 days, we need you to do more than ever. The work you are doing in your states to help elect Joe and Kamala and Democrats all the way down the ballot is so vital. And with your help, we will gain governorships and Democratic legislatures to ensure that maps are not drawn to restrict our voices and our constituencies. We are counting on all of you to do everything you can in these last 20 days to help us win. Our party's message is clear and consistent. We need you to vote, and not just vote, but to vote early and encourage all their friends and family to do the same. After we vote, we need to sign up for another organizing shift and get our friends and family to join us. If anyone has questions about how to vote, please send them to iwillvote.com. On Election Day, when the polls close, there can be no doubt that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have won a decisive mandate, one that this president cannot refute no matter how hard he tries. On behalf of Kamala, myself, Joe, Jill, and the entire campaign, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all you're doing for this campaign, for what you will do between now and Election Day as well. Now let's go win this thing.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again on the trail. Our state parties are the lifeblood of the DNC. And we're going to hear from 3 amazing state party chairs who are going to tell us how they're organizing and preparing for Election Day in 3 really, really important states. First up, we're going to hear from Lavora Barnes, our wonderful chair from the great state of Michigan. And she's going to talk about how their new expanded voting laws, which are the product of a voter referendum from 2018, have helped bring in new voters. Then we're going to turn to Vicki Hyatt, the chair of the Kansas Democratic Party. I mentioned earlier in my remarks that I had the opportunity just yesterday to address some of the leadership in Kansas. And there's a heck of a lot happening in Kansas. They are electing Democrats. There's more opportunity. And Vicki is going to tell you what's happening on the ground and how Kansas, for instance, can be and will be part of the roadmap to a Senate majority, and what they're doing to make sure that their governor is protected in the state legislature. Last but certainly not least, we will hear from my friend Nancy Mills, who's the Pennsylvania State Party Chair, and she's going to talk about what they've been doing to educate voters. There's again a new system in place for voting that gives voters choice, and choice is a good thing. Choice means that more people can vote, but when you're doing it for the first time, there are a few new things that you need to learn, and Nancy will talk about what they're doing, as well as what they're doing to combat disinformation efforts from the Trump campaign. So please join me in welcoming these wonderful state party chairs. And as Nancy Pelosi often said, when women succeed, America succeeds. So please welcome these wonderful women. Take care. Take it away.
Hello, friends. It's been another unpredictable week here in Michigan. As I'm sure you know, a credible plan for kidnapping and killing our governor was thwarted by state and federal officials. There were plans to storm our state capitol and overthrow the government. The president has been tweeting about our governor, asking her to bow down and thank him for saving her life. And the Speaker of the Michigan House has been victim blaming our governor, chastising her for not briefing him on the threat to her life. All of this, and she isn't even on the ballot in November. This is our first major election under new voting laws here in Michigan. These laws include no reason absentee voting and same-day voter registration. This means we've been voting here in Michigan since September 24th. GOTV is actually 40 days. 2.7 million absentee ballots have been requested, with just over 850,000 having been returned to date. And in terms of early voting, in the city of Detroit alone, 21 satellite voting locations have opened. Similar locations are open in all of our major college towns. Voting in Michigan has never been easier or more accessible. Our field team is running full steam ahead. Our staff and volunteers have made over 17 million phone calls to voters and sent over 3 million texts. We are still meeting voters where they are, on the phones, through their computers, and by text. But we've added one more point of contact. I'm thrilled to share that we are out knocking doors. We're following all strict safety protocols, ensuring that all of our volunteers are fever-free, wearing their masks, keeping their distance, and voters are incredibly happy to see us. Of course, we're not just focused on the top of the ticket here. We're working tirelessly to send Gary Peters back to the U.S. Senate. And we also need to flip our state house. It seems more obvious than ever that our governor needs at least one chamber that's willing to work alongside her. We only need to flip 4 seats to take control of the House, but we also need to protect all of our current members. We're actively working in 14 state House races, tying as many of them as possible to Betsy DeVos. She is the perfect villain. We're also active in 5 congressional races, working to re-elect Alyssa Slotkin and Haley Stevens and elect Hillary Scholten, John Hoadley, and Gretchen Driscoll. We're continuing to make incredible strides in Oakland County, which until 2018 was a Republican stronghold, and we're making inroads in Kent County on the west side of the state. We've worked hard there to build a Democratic base. Finally, voter protection here in Michigan. We've built the largest, best resourced voter protection team in our state's history. Voter protection attorneys and full-time staff are working with city and township clerks' offices across the state and are training lawyers and other volunteers to assist voters. We have a hotline open 7 days a week and accessible in English, Spanish, and Arabic. And for the first time, we have voter protection operations specifically for tribal communities here in Michigan. With 21 days to go, it continues to be full steam ahead for Michigan Democrats. Thanks.
Good afternoon, DNC members. I'm Vicki Hyatt, and I'm the chair of the Kansas Democratic Party, and I am here in Johnson County at the Johnson County Democratic headquarters because this is a key area for activists. In 2018, they elected Congresswoman Sharice Davids, and also were very instrumental in helping get elected our governor, Laura Kelly. This is also the home area of Barbara Bollier, who is our state senator right now, but running for U.S. senator, and will be the first U.S. Democratic senator from Kansas since 1932. We are so lucky to have such strong women here in Kansas, and in fact, that has helped us get all federal level candidates who are women. In Congressional District 1, Callie Barnett is running, and Mayor Michelle De La Isla is running in Kansas Congressional District 2. Of course, we're going to be re-electing Sharice Davids in Congressional District 3. And in Congressional District 4, Laura Lombard, a new mother, is running a very rigorous campaign. And she's a new mother with been doing a lot of her campaigning with her baby on her hip. So we're so proud of these women, and with hoping to pick up at least another congressional seat. And we definitely want that U.S. Senate seat. And then also in 2020, one of our focuses is to break the Republican supermajority in the Kansas legislature. We only need 1 more House seat and 3 more Senate seats to do that. And this will be key in helping Laura Kelly get her agenda through, and also in the redistricting coming up after the census is done. So these are very important elections. We've got great candidates running all over the state. We're also working on getting our coordinated campaign is up and running and doing quite well. We have over 3,000 volunteer shifts that have been completed now. We have about 35 staffers out in the field, and over 500,000 calls have been made, over 900,000 texts. So we're running a really rigorous field program, and of course, all of it's being done remotely for safety. And in spite of that, we are able to reach thousands and thousands of voters across Kansas. So I just want to reiterate what Chairman Tom Perez has said often is, what's the matter with Kansas? Not a damn thing. We're electing Democrats.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of the meeting today. This gives me a great opportunity to tell you what we've been doing in Pennsylvania. As you know, in 2016, Donald Trump did win Pennsylvania by a narrow margin. And we knew at that moment that we were going to have to do something, and we got to work immediately. I was the chair of Allegheny County at the time, and the first thing we did was engage indivisible groups and volunteer groups to become part of the party. The opportunity that was presented to us was Connor Lamb. Connor Lamb, the beginning of the blue wave all over America, was right there in Allegheny County. So we got to work. We called all the indivisible groups. We put people on the phones. We brought Connor to the districts, to all 4 districts, and he won. He won in a Trump 21 district. After redistricting, of course, he had to run again and was then reelected in the new district. So we knew at that time that we were on to something. And what we were doing was engaging everyone in Pennsylvania to participate in the democratic process. In 2017, we began to elect judicial candidates all over Pennsylvania. We won 4 judicial races for women out of 7. So we knew now we're really on to something. So statewide now we were being very, very successful. After that, in 2018, we had the opportunity to test our strategy all over Pennsylvania. Out of 18 congressional people, we only had 5 Democrats. Those 5 Democrats were people who were representing districts in various areas of Pennsylvania. We were very successful that year in electing the Fab Four that you've all heard about, 4 women in southeastern Pennsylvania, and Connor Lamb again. So this was very exciting. Now we had 9 Democratic congresspeople out of 18. I consider that to be a level playing field. And that level playing field is very, very important because so many people relate to their congressperson. They may say, you know, I'm a Democrat, but you know, I really like my congressman. So I've never been able to understand that, but I think you know where I'm coming from. So in 2018, we were able to lay the groundwork for a statewide victory. We also had a landslide victory for our governor, Governor Wolf, and for our U.S. Senator, Senator Casey. So 2018 was a very exciting year for us. In 2019, the test was going on even further. We went into southeastern Pennsylvania and elected Democrats in the majority in counties where they've never ever had a majority. One county had never had a majority since the Civil War. So we knew very well that things were moving in the right direction for Pennsylvania. Now we come up to 2020 and we take all that we've learned in 2016, 17, 18, and 19 and apply it to 2020. One thing that we did that was very interesting is at the end of 2019, we began a coordinated campaign here in Pennsylvania. That we've never done that this early. A coordinated campaign is usually established after the convention. Also, voter protection. Voter protection is usually after the convention. But we started last October putting all of these pieces into place. Now, thank goodness we have voter protection. Thank goodness we have a legal team in Pennsylvania. I'm sure all of you have heard what has happened with the Donald Trump lawsuits against our Commonwealth. And we have had five different lawsuits that we've been defending in one way or another. Everything from drop boxes to voter suppression in any way that they possibly could suppress the vote. do not vote. That's their pathway to victory here in Pennsylvania, not to vote. So we have won everything in Pennsylvania. Every case that we've brought to the courts has been won except for naked ballots. Naked ballots, you've all heard about that. That is the inside envelope that must be included when you mail in your ballot. And we've done tremendous outreach to all of our communities to educate them on how to use the inner envelope to make sure that their ballot counts. We've even, we were able to remove the Green Party candidate here in Pennsylvania, and very legitimately, I might add. The Green Party candidate did not follow the rules and therefore was removed from the ballot. We were very pleased about that because in 2016, the Green Party candidates' votes were the difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton's victory. So we were pleased about that. Now we're moving forward. Everything that we've done thus far has been successful. We're trying to put the pieces together. We are putting the pieces together. We've made millions of phone calls all over Pennsylvania to get out the vote and to also educate people on how to vote. And they have many choices here in Pennsylvania. So I'm very pleased to tell you that I do believe that Pennsylvania is in a different position than they were in 2016, and we're going to be successful, and we're going to return Pennsylvania to blue. I know that all of you have been rooting for us here, and we've been told that we are ground zero. I think we have a lot of ground zeros all over Pennsylvania, all over the United States. So I will tell you also, I want to add one thing. We've done an outreach program here that I think is very, very important. Rural Pennsylvania has been a target for a lot of people, a lot of controversy. A lot of questions have been asked on why rural Pennsylvania was ignored in 2016. We have definitely paid close attention. Our rural caucus has been extremely active, working with, and I might say, going back full circle to 2016, the volunteer groups, the indivisible groups. Volunteers are helping rural Pennsylvania put up billboards and make it known that we have Democrats in rural Pennsylvania. We've also had an ethnic outreach with the AAPI caucus, and we have also been targeting and working with our Black caucus in our inner cities and all over Pennsylvania. So thank you very, very much for giving me the opportunity to bring you up to date on what we're doing here in PA. And thank you to all members of the Democratic National Committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Lavora, Vicki, and Nancy. Really appreciate those updates, and thanks for your great work. And I know we could have updates from every state and territory, and we'd get a lot of action. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We mentioned voter protection earlier, and I'm really excited to turn it over now to our one of the fellow officers of ours at the DNC, Karen Carter Peterson, who is the Vice Chair for Civic Engagement and Voter Protection, and our Voter Protection Director, Rena Walters Morgan. Voter protection is a 24/7 enterprise right now, and we wanted to make sure that you heard from them moving forward. So Karen, why don't I start with you, and then you can turn it over to Rena.
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you so much. And thanks for your leadership, Tom. It's just been an amazing 3.5, almost 4 years working together. And we're almost there. And good afternoon to all you Democrats. We're just 20 days out from one of the most important elections in our lifetime. And I'm willing to bet that for each of us on this Zoom call right now, the countdown to November 3rd started 4 years ago. And I know we've been working since that time to protect everyone's right to vote. Certainly everyone at the DNC has been collaborating in furtherance of that one thing, protecting everyone's right to vote. And it's more than, right now, more than ever, it's more important to make a plan to vote. You've heard this over and over again. We can't emphasize it enough to the citizens in our respective states. And it's not just for ourselves, but for your entire family and to all of your neighbors and friends to make sure they're educated on the latest and the safest way to cast their ballots, which differ in each of our states, as we just heard from, Michigan and Kansas and Pennsylvania. So direct your friends and families to iwillvote.com to check their polling location and find the facts around local voting laws and ordinances. They can get it all right there. Our team has done a wonderful job. Why don't you then go further and share your plan to vote online and encourage everyone to pick a date, make a plan, and then vote. I know I'm going to do it this Friday in Louisiana, first in line. We all know firsthand, the many ways that the Republicans have been conspiring to keep Americans from exercising the fundamental right to vote. Early voting has already started in several states. I even saw one video where Georgia voters were waiting up to 11 hours at one precinct to cast their votes. And not only are the long lines an epic failure, but they're an infringement on the basic tenets of our Constitution and the fundamental right to free and fair elections. While those voters had to wait in line for 11 hours, you know what else is true? Georgia also shattered early voting numbers, which we're very excited about. And it just shows that the harder they work to make it impossible for us to vote, the harder we will work to ensure that everyone can and does vote. That's the job that we've had at the DNC and for all of our great state party leaders across the country. So if you're concerned about unfair tactics being used to intimidate or dissuade voters, please consider volunteering, with several voter protection hotlines and programs operating across the country. Your local party, the state party, and the DNC are all working together with the most robust voter protection program that we've ever had in our history. And I'm proud to introduce you to a wonderful woman, Raina Walters Morgan, who will share more details about ways to get involved in the DNC's voter protection program. She and her team have just done an amazing job of getting us prepared for this moment. Raina serves as the director of voter protection and has spent years working to protect the right to vote. I'm honored, and it's been a privilege to work with her and the entire team, and I'll ask her to take it from here to continue to share some of the additional updates that we have for you today.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for your leadership in serving in this department. It is really important to have people who care about the issues that we're facing. And that comes from the top. And same with Chairman Perez and all of the DNC members on this call. Thank you so much. We have 20 days until November 3rd. People are voting right now, and we are ready. I'm excited to give you the update on where we are with our voter protection efforts. I know you've heard many people say this, but I can't emphasize it enough. This voter protection effort and the 2020 cycle has been historic. We started this work early, and there are voter protection directors that have been in place since 2019, which is very different than what we've seen in previous cycles. And because some of these voter protection directors have been in place so early, by the time November 3rd comes around, some of these directors will have 2, and in some cases, even 3 elections under their belt by the time November 3rd rolls around. So this is one of the largest programs in history. There are voter protection teams in 29 states across the country. These teams are monitoring voting activity, they're operating voter assistance hotlines, they're working to resolve election-related issues as they arise. And in addition, we're really trying to be proactive about our approach this year, especially when it comes to voter protection. We're not taking anything for granted. So in conjunction with our colleagues with ASDC, we have been working to help each and every state put together a scalable voter protection plan so that they're ready to leap into action if needed. And in addition, there are thousands of lawyers and volunteers across the country already working to help protect the right to vote. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the voter protection resources and technology. I have to give a shout out to our technology and data team. They have done such amazing work, and the work that they do is critical to our work. And we work hand in hand. I can tell you without a doubt, we would not be able to accomplish the goals that we had set forth had it not been for the data and tech team. So thank you for your work and thank you for your diligence. And to talk a little bit more about some of those tools, you may remember earlier this summer, we launched a voter registration and purge tracker. This was a tool that was used to help identify people who had been removed from the voter rolls. And also those who had been listed as inactive. And that way we could identify those voters and help get them back on the rolls by the time they needed to, by the time the registration deadlines rolled around. Just to give you a sense, teams are using this tool across the country. And just at the DNC alone with DNC staff and volunteers, over 250,000 inactive or removed voters have been contacted within the last week. That is the type of work that we're able to do ahead of these voter registration deadlines when we have really good tools that are helping us do that work. I also want to talk about the National Voter Assistance Hotline, 833-336-8683. That's 833-DEM-VOTE. So the hotline is year-round, but let me tell you, we are ramping it up. The hotline is busier than ever. Just to give you a sense of how busy we've been, we've already had a day in October that exceeded the call volume from Election Day in 2018. Voters have questions, whether it's from voter registration or vote by mail, and we are really, really ready and happy to help them. The hotline is currently operating 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. On Election Day, our hotline will be operational from 5 a.m. until midnight. And again, this is just the national hotline that I'm talking about. We have voter assistance hotlines in each and every battleground state and many states across this country. And we are working with those teams to make sure that we are assisting them in the best way possible in running their own hotlines as well. And of course, it would not be a call about voter protection if we did not talk about iwillvote.com. I know that people have mentioned iwillvote.com, but I really do want to stress that this tool has been a wonderful tool. It's a partnership with several teams across the space. And the goal is to make sure that voters have a one-stop shop of really good information. You know that this president peddles in disinformation, particularly when it comes to voting. And so it was really, really important that there was a tool out there that could answer the most basic questions. What time do I go vote? What locations can I vote at? The tool has several core features. Of course, it has the ability so that you can check your registration status. It can help you with voter registration, with vote by mail ballot requests. We recently launched the voter education pages, which we've talked a lot about. And of course, as people are going in to vote, as those polling locations are up and ready, people can actually look up the location of where they are going to vote. So again, we want people to feel knowledgeable about their options. And just to give you an idea of how important this is, there are a lot of changes that are happening. You may have just heard that even today in Virginia, it was announced that there was an extension of the voter registration deadline. And that information is already up on I Will Vote. As soon as we find out about these things, we have our teams ready to go, ready to put the updated information into action on this website. So again, please share it. It is constantly updated, and we do know that it's been a really good resource for voters. And you've also heard a lot of people talking about make a plan to vote. I want to share with you that there's now a website available, and it's called makeaplan.com. It's now live, and this website actually walks voters through the process of creating a plan. You enter your address, you confirm that you're registered. It asks you whether you want to vote by mail, in person, and it provides you with the information of where you go vote. It asks you to confirm the day and the time that you want to go vote and how you're going to get there. If you're going to take a car, public transportation, if you're going to bike or walk. It's really, really a great tool. And then the best part is that you can add it to your calendar once you've figured out all those details. I went through it today. It's on my calendar so that I don't forget to go vote, because it's really important that during a pandemic that people understand what their options are and that they make that plan early. So in closing, I want to reiterate the ask to get involved. Please make your plan for this election. We need you. We need your expertise. We need your advocacy. And I want to ask you two things in particular, and aside from getting involved in volunteering, I'd like to ask you to share the good news about voting. No day is perfect, okay? But it's really important to counter all of the negative messages that are coming out of this White House and share the truth about voting. And the truth is that voters are excited, voters are motivated, and they are ready to make their voices heard. And even on the days where things are less than ideal, I want you to remember that the right to vote is always worth the fight. And to borrow from the film, we've got to keep our eyes on the prize. We've got to wade through the tweets. We've got to wade through the disinformation and help us get to the finish line. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks so much, Raina. And I couldn't agree more with what you just said. You know, folks, here's the deal. Democrats believe that we should have a debate in the marketplace of ideas, that we should talk about healthcare. We think that if you have a pre-existing condition, you should be able to keep your coverage. The other side doesn't. You know, we think you got to have $15 an hour as a minimum wage so you can feed your family. The other side doesn't. And then what we believe is that you should make it as easy as possible for eligible people to vote. That's our position. Republicans, on the other hand, and they're not subtle about it, they believe that their leverage in elections goes up as the voting populace goes down. And that's why they do all the shenanigans that they're doing. And so we just have to keep fighting. And what Raina and Karen have said, it can't be underscored often enough. We need you to be those ambassadors. People have options. Options are good, okay? What happens with options is that more people vote. And that's a good thing. So thank you again to our voter protection team. I now want to turn it over to Muthoni Wambu-Kral, who's our director of the political and organizing director at the DNC, to give you an update on all the remarkable work that's being done and share ideas about what you all can do during the final stretch. So Muthoni, take it over.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. 20 days out, I'm feeling it. I also was feeling our invocation. She was incredible and really centered me. I hope everyone took all of the breaths with her because I know we need it. I know that we are talking to folks who are tuning in because you are doing the work and we are all in this final sprint together. I agree with everything that everyone has said, with what Raina has said, with what the chairman has said about the story that we have to tell about what is happening right now. People are out here against some pretty challenging odds, exercising their vote, many of them with some of the best attitudes that I've ever seen for someone who is standing in a 3 to 5 hour line, some of them with their kids. And some of them having only taken off an hour from work, only to realize that they need more time, but they're doing it. And so, you know, as Raina said, we walk a really important tightrope line here when we have to acknowledge the fact that Republicans are continuing to be barriers to people's right to vote. And at the same time, we have got to applaud and lift up the folks that are doing it anyway, so that we can help show everybody that this can get done, this will get done, and that they all have the opportunity, that we are helping in every way possible, and that Democrats are helping to provide that difference. When I look at Texas and I see what that Republican governor has done to get in the way of people's right to vote, but then you look at the Harris County clerk who is in his 30s, who's done his best to make sure that people are able to vote in as many safe ways as possible. It's incredible. And so we need to lift up our Democrats who are making the difference in this election and who are making the difference in this pandemic. And I hope that as we do this, and even as we are in this week where this SCOTUS nomination or shamination, whatever you want to call it, I hope it's keeping you fired up. And that even if you don't believe in prayer, that you kind of take the same attitude that if you're worried, pray, and if you pray, don't worry. So if you're worried, work. If you work, don't worry, because we're going to get through this too. Governor Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania talked about already about how we are going to make sure that our governors will once again be a part of our back line against so much that is happening right now with what this administration is trying to push through on the judicial front. And let this be an inspiration for what we need to do with our state legislatures and flipping these chambers. We have so many other ways that Democrats can continue to try to protect people, and they need us to do it. We have to make sure that we are going to hold on to the Affordable Care Act. And right now, we know that we can't count on Republicans to do anything but try to repeal it. And so we've got to get as many of our folks elected as possible. So what else do we need to do? You've gotten a lot of good asks so far in our meeting today. I'm going to try and help summarize some of that. We are asking everybody to please keep sharing iwillvote.com. It is working. It's working when Snoop Dogg is sharing it and telling us to drop it in the box. It is working when Joe Biden is sharing it in the middle of an amazing debate. And it is working when you are sharing it on your own social media. Your voice matters in this. I am telling my story using my child, doing anything I can to help break through to my personal circle. We need you to keep doing that with your incredible networks. And while you're doing it, don't just tell folks to make a plan to vote. Show them how to make a plan to vote. Break out your cameras, start taking like a 1-minute video, show people how easy it is to use our iwillvote.com as a resource. And while you're at it, download the Vote Joe app. Like literally, I went and did the training with the team, and I was so pleasantly surprised at how easy it was for me to start doing friend banking, something that I really hadn't done on my phone. And I learned how to do through the wonderful folks who were working at the Biden campaign. And it helped me to start doing even more work and talking to my own friends and family and making sure that folks are doing what they need to do or asking them to come and to help volunteer. So download the Vote Joe app. It is really super easy, and it's a great way to get to your networks and to help us keep recruiting people. Late help, we still need it. I know you all, for those of you who have been in some of our other DNC member meetings have heard us talk about late help. We still need it. We are still making sure that this campaign has as many volunteers as they need up until the final and last minute that we can possibly be doing this work. And so please go to joebiden.com to see all of the various ways that you can volunteer. For those of you who can still phone bank or still willing to phone bank, there is a phone bank, I promise you, for whoever your tribe is. There is an umbrella for you to live under. There's a community there for you. There's a day of the week where it's taking place. There is no reason, no matter what your schedules are, that we cannot do all that we can do to help this campaign win, to help Democrats up and down the ballot, starting with our top of the ticket, Joe Biden and Senator Harris. And so thank you all so much for helping us as we take this to the finish line.
Thanks, Mathoni, for that very spirited presentation. And now I want to go back and see Snoop Dogg again. So I love that Snoop Dogg and who's the other guy in the Corona commercial? They're talking to each other. Big Bunny. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So I think we have no old or new business before us today. So before we adjourn, I want to turn it over to Jason Ray, who has a few announcements for everybody. And then we'll introduce Reverend Eli Valentine, who will deliver the benediction. So Secretary Ray, please take it over.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your great leadership. We continue to ask members to share and post about, as you heard today, iwillvote.com and now makeaplan.com. We really want you to help reach out to your networks and share information so that they all have everything that they need in order to vote. Please continue to monitor your emails to share important updates that we'll be sending out from the DNC War Room and other places with your networks. We really encourage you to be our voices on the ground about the work that the DNC is doing. To that end, we also want to remind all members, whether you are a new member or a long-standing member, to please fill out your member profiles if you have not already. This is required every 4 years. At the start of a new DNC term. So we encourage all members to fill out their profiles. If you do need help with that, please do reach out to the Secretary's office, and my team is happy to assist you with that. It was wonderful to be with all of you today, and I can't wait to see you on the virtual campaign trail as we work to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Democrats up and down the ticket. But now it's my great honor to get to introduce for our benediction, Reverend Eli Valentine. Eli Valentine serves as pastor of the Bridge Church of God. In addition to his pastoral ministry, he has been a lecturer at Union Theological Seminary, New York Theological Seminary, and Hunter College. Reverend Valentine has served as an advisor to numerous elected officials and is the author of the forthcoming book on Reinhold Niebuhr and politics. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Eli Valentine to give our benediction.
Greetings. My name is Reverend Eli Valentine, and it is an honor to share this benediction with you. Please let us pray. Oh God, we come to you with hearts filled with gratitude, for we know that all things come from you. We recognize that we depend on you. All that we are and all that we do is because of your great yes. We need you, God. We need you now. The anxiety over the uncertainties of our economic situation, the slow disintegration of our democracy, the sickness, death, and poverty this pandemic is causing among us. All these are manifestations of the realities we face as a nation. We ask for strength to help us do the work of justice, to help heal the divisions that are destroying the very fabric of our nation. I ask, oh God, that you give our party leaders the wisdom, insight, and courage to fight the good fight of justice. And as we do so, let us remember that as we struggle for justice, you journey with us. And you, God, will never forsake us. With you before us, we can declare victory. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend Valentine, for your very, very passionate and thoughtful words. We've now reached the end of our agenda, and before I conclude this meeting, I do want to thank our DNC staff for all of their work in making this happen. We're in a new normal, and it's anything but normal. I look forward at some point here, hopefully very much sooner rather than later, where we can get together in person. In the meantime, I want to make sure everybody is safe, and I hope your families are safe. Again, 20 days till the weekend. Please continue your hard work. We can do this, folks. We can do this across the country. And I'm confident that we can get across the finish line. So since there is no further business, the meeting is adjourned so that we can all get back to work electing Democrats up and down the ballot. So moved. Take care.